So I see Schumer is pushing for student loan relief,
Yeah,
if you want to call it that.
50,000 per student. $50,000 per student. They're wanting to. I have an article on that here. I just read $50,000 in student debt, pressuring Biden for an executive order.
I'd really like to know how this plan works.
Well, the one thing I will say that I kind of like is, let's see here. Biden has already suspended federal student loan payments through September. Could use an executive order to forgive $50,000 in student loans, federal student loan debt. However, he mentioned he prefers a smaller amount, more like $10,000 per borrower. Which, I mean, you want to help them, I get it to a point, but 50,000, that's a lot of dough.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Where does it come from? Who's responsible for that money?
Well, and so Republicans are against it. It's too expensive, and it wouldn't be fair to those who've already paid off their student loans. And it could encourage colleges to boost tuition.
Exactly.
And it set a bad precedent for future generations to overborrow, thinking the government's going to forgive it later. So here's the reality. If you ask me, this is my personal opinion. Fuck college.
Yeah,
it's good for some things, but I know too many people who have gone to school, paid all this money, and they come out and they're a fucking accountant.
Yeah, which they could have done without doing all that.
Or you get out of college and you end up swinging a shovel at a construction site.
Yeah, flipping burgers.
When you could have started all that when fresh out of high school, learned a trade, and made a ton of money. So unless you're going into like a really defined field and you want to be a doctor, of course I want my doctor to go to college. Yeah. My plumber, I could give a shit less if he went to college. If he knows what he's doing,
he knows what he's
doing.
If
you can lay pipe, you can lay pipe.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, there's certain things you need to go to college for. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go to a warehouse and get a vasectomy.
No,
in some dirty van.
If you make the choice to take that profession that says I need to go to college for this, there's really no way to do it without going to college for this profession. Then you're taking on the responsibility of that loan that you're going to have to take out in order to pay for it. No different than me buying a car. If I want a brand new car, I've got to take on the responsibility of paying the payment for the loan I took out to pay for that car.
Yeah, even if a year later you realize this car is a piece of shit.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Nobody's going to say, "Hey, here's $50,000 off of that car that
Yeah, we're going to forgive
that you bought, that you decided to buy on your own when you could have paid cash for one, bought a cheaper one that didn't take as long, didn't cost as much.
Yep.
Several different options. I've got a limited college background. And I've never in my life done anything that involves anything what I went to school with for.
Isn't that funny? Spend all this time learning all this shit, and 80% of it you never use.
No.
Not that school isn't important. School is very important. You learn a lot from school. And some of those things, like math, I firmly believe.
I believe you need to go to grade school and high school,
yes.
And then from that point forward, you have to take the mental aptitude to decide on what you want to do further. And once you decide to go to college, you decide to take on that responsibility.
Yes.
It is not the government. It is not the taxpayer. It is not anybody else's responsibility to cover your ass.
Right. And you don't, you know me. I was a mechanic, and now I'm a mid-level manager for a very, very big, large, worldwide organization.
Yeah,
and
same here.
I did it just by working my ass off and learning. So I feel like if you enter into that
that contract with a lender, regardless to what you said, could be an automobile, could be a house, college. You entered into that contract. You borrowed that money. You are responsible for paying it back. What you use that money for is going to determine if you're able to pay that money back. Because if you use it to get a horseshit degree, you're not going to find a job when you get out of college.
No.
If you use it for something that you know is in demand, you know, especially right now with IT and computer and coding and all that shit, I'm sure you could do that, get out of school, and probably even start an internship while you're still in school and be hired on by that company. Then, yeah, you'll be able to pay that debt back. But if you're going in for something like animal husbandry, or, you know, all this bullshit that they're teaching
gender
now,
recognition
studies.
studies.
gender studies, let's be realistic. You're not going nowhere with your fucking life. And art. Sorry.
If you get a job after pursuing one of those, I won't say meaningless. Will you be a little bit correct about it and just say one of those
not so demanding,
non-common or non-demanding career paths, and that's what you choose to go to school for, and you do get a job doing it and make some money, you got lucky.
Yeah, you're one of the select few. I think that was I always told my daughter she's going to school for what she's studying. Now, I'm not going to bring it up. I don't want to put that out there, but I told her you need a minor in something
basic,
like accounting or something along those lines, because you always need bean counters in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Accountants are always needed, and if you can just say, you know enough to get by, to get started, that's your foothold in the door to get in with a nice accounting firm and work your way up. And next thing you know, that's actually your career.
Yeah.
Because I'd hate for anybody to go to school, especially her, she's my kid, and with a passion to learn this and then not be able to do it or get out and not have anything.
There'd be no access. And the further we go in this world and the more we tear it down and break it to pieces and destroy all these parts of it, you lose those areas that people are going to college for now.
Yep.
People, yes, they may not be a high demand career path, but at this moment there may be a little bit of a demand for it. But as we tear this country apart and break it into pieces, that demand becomes less and less and less. And you have to be able to see that and know before you take on that responsibility.
Yep. I mean, there was a time when I was young, it was everybody, you go to college. That's how you succeed. You go to college. But the world is changing.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to college, and then there's no more tradesmen. And now we need tradesmen. I mean, look at the amount of work going on out there,
Yeah, you guys can't drive half the time anyway. What would you do without that guy with the flag telling you to slow down at a construction site in the middle of the road? You'd all be piled up in a ditch somewhere.
You wouldn't have a road without those construction
Exactly.
workers. You wouldn't have power without those linemen.
You can't operate on a blinking red light. So, what would you do without that then?
Just think about the garbage men alone. Everybody calls that a horseshit career. You know what? Those guys they make good money.
They make decent money.
They make good money for what they do, and it's hard work.
Absolutely.
It's hard work, and those sumbitches are out there every day picking up your shit.
Yep.
Picking up your garbage, your trash, and getting rid of it the right way. Just that alone. Think about it. If we had no trash service just in our city for 1 month, can you imagine what the streets would look like?
Y'all think it's bad now here.
Yeah, you think it's a shithole now. Just wait a month with no trash.
Old Lester cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Y'all think it's bad now.
So, yeah, student loans, I mean, that's just like any other loan, as far as I'm concerned. You entered into a contract with a financial institution. You are now responsible to pay that back. Do I think that sometimes, I'm sure there's predatory loans out there, just like there is in the housing market, automotive and personal loans. And I'm sure there's unfair interest rates, and there's probably loopholes where they can change your interest rate. But those are things that you need to read the fine fucking print. And if you don't like it, go to another institution. When I go to buy a car, I don't just go to the first guy that says, here, I'll sell you this and give you this loan. I'm going to shop around, just like anywhere else.
Somebody's going to give me better than the first one.
Yep, and I feel like, students often get pressured into
Probably so.
getting loans because they're told and they're indoctrinated that this is what you need to do to succeed, you know, and they gain this passion of what they want to do for the rest of their life, and then they feel like they only have that option.
Yeah,
This is what I have to do if I'm going to do this.
and that's because you haven't tried to minor in something basic to get a skill that allows you to fall back somewhere.
Yeah, that gives you that safety net to fall back.
Let me borrow $100,000 and go to school for 4 years and get out of school, and then I'll start paying it back. But I get out of school and I don't have a job, so I don't even have a basic skill to fall back on in order to try and pay some of this down. So now I'm just spiraling out of control, financial debt, ruin. Yes,
Yep.
yes, there are loan institutions that are to blame for it. They don't necessarily help, you know, in some circumstances. But again, you chose that path.
Yep.
I didn't choose that for you, and our government has no business getting you out of it.
No, it's just a bailout.
It is.
And why? Again, why do I have to pay off your debt?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the Freedom Muffin merch store at freedommuffin.com for all the latest gear. Your support helps us put out the best content in America.